The UK economy shrank for the second month in a row in October as concerns about the budget continue to weigh on confidence. The economy had been expected to return to growth, but the Office for National Statistics said activity had stalled or declined, with pubs, restaurants and retail among sectors reporting weaker months. Chancellor Rachel Reeves has called the figure disappointing, but said the government has put policies in place to deliver growth in the long term. To talk through this, I'm joined now by Paul Dales, Chief UK Economist at Capital Economics. Paul, growth was expected. We didn't see that. Talk us through the figure and the reasons behind it.
Well, there was a small contraction in GDP of 0.1% in the month of October, and as you said, that's the second contraction in a row. When it comes to the reasons, undoubtedly some of this is due to the budget, with businesses deciding to put activity on hold until they found out what was in the budget on the 30th of October. Um, but there's more to it than that. Growth was slowing well before the budget was on the horizon. And I think we've got a combination of the drag from higher interest rates just lasting a bit longer than perhaps we all thought, and also a new weakness from overseas, with the Eurozone economy struggling in the second half of the year. So it's a combination of effects that have resulted in the UK economy essentially not going anywhere.
And it's a second month in a row of negative growth. How does this reflect on the Labour government?
Well, I don't think you can blame it on the Labour government. I mean, policies that governments put in place tend to take a long time to play out. So the government came in July. I don't think the weakness since then can be solely put on what they've done. But to some degree, it is in response to the budget. But as I said, it's the longer and more important influences of the effect of higher interest rates and the health of the global economy that is the real driver of this economic weakness.
And you've touched on it there, but just to elaborate a little bit, blame has been put on the budget, but the budget's not entirely to blame, is it?
No, I don't think you can put all the blame for this economic weakness on the budget. Some of it, yes, I think is playing a part, with businesses having postponed some activity until they found out what was in the budget. But the bigger issue is that higher interest rates have been holding back the UK economy over much of the last 2 years. That's still continuing. And more recently, actually, the weakness in overseas demand appears to have started to hold back the UK economy as well. And interestingly, I think those are the factors that are going to be more important, and they're going to be the bigger drivers of economic growth in the UK in 2025.
And what impact are we likely to see on interest rates with this poor GDP?
Well, that's really interesting, because the Bank of England is still worried about inflation being too high, and hasn't, until recently at least, been very worried about the economy being too weak. But now I suspect it's going to start thinking a little bit more about whether the economy is weaker than it had hoped. And that would mean that it can have more confidence in the idea that inflation is going to be lower further ahead. And that would probably mean that it might be in a position to cut interest rates a bit quicker. Now, I don't think that's going to happen quickly. I think the Bank of England won't cut interest rates at the meeting next Thursday. I think the next cut will come in February next year. And at that point, the bank might start to reconsider, if the economy is still quite weak, whether it should cut interest rates a bit faster.
And looking ahead, is it likely that things will get worse before they start getting better?
I think actually the economy is going to strengthen throughout 2025. Now, the main reason for that is because the drag from higher interest rates is going to continue to fade, at the same time that a boost from the recent interest rate cuts starts to come through. I think that will more than offset any extra weakness from overseas. And the result might be that after growing by about 1% this year, the economy will grow by around 1.5% in 2025.
So the future looking more promising than bleak.
I would say so, yes. I mean, there's always uncertainties and risks. It might be that we have a very small patch of weakness, but I do think 2025 will be better than 2024 when it comes to the economy.
That's all very informative. Thank you so much, Paul, for joining us.
Thank you.